through Memex conference Poland in Gdańsk, the first one.
No matter whether you're joining us here today, in person in Gdańsk, or online for the live stream at your favorite media device of choice, we're very happy to have all of you here with us. After several Memex conferences in Berlin, and even a Memex conference in Chicago, I2 decided to team up with DAC.digital to make a Memex conference in Gdańsk.
And so, the two of us, Anastasia, Associate Director of Digital Marketing at I2 in Berlin,
and Schießl, CTO at DAC.digital and Technological Mastermind, we will guide you through this wonderful conference today. But how did I2 and DAC.digital decide to team up on this?
Great question. It all started in 2021 when Philip and Matthias from I2 approached us and asked a good question to support them on building a product. Fast forward 18 months, and we're still doing this, and even more so, we're building great tech together, but you have to stick around to the end of the conference to find out more.
Well, we live in a world where technology hugely influences our everyday lives, where AI tools can change how we perceive others. We feel this world through emotions. And to gain a competitive advantage, businesses need to understand those needs, right? Therefore, we convert customer experience into human experience, and therefore putting the need for real relationships to a pedestal. But how can we actually create a technology that can be more human? And how can we enable the computer to catch and understand those small details that make the difference for human interactions? These questions are going to be answered by one of the speakers today, and also by you, our guests.
So, what is our plan for today? We organized this amazing conference into 2 slots with 3 speakers in each slot, concluded by a Q&A session and a short discussion round. We will have a short break in between at 11:40, and at 14:30 we will start with the pitch event. The first one, nice pitch event, is actually taking place here. With some time in between to get dressed and gather some more powers, we will rejoin at 7 p.m. for a post-event party and after party.
And we're going to start this conference with a collaboration between Michael Schießl and Dennis Rudolph. As a psychologist, market research expert, and first of all, as visionary, Michael is often among the first ones to detect promising new possibilities, new ways of research, and also secrets for successful relations and communications. And one of his core research areas is the human experience, which can be understood in many ways. One of it is the interaction of peoples and machines, the changing perception of images, language, and space as technology progress comes into play. His co-speaker today, Dennis Rudolph, is born in Berlin, studied in Beijing, St. Petersburg, and Berlin. And he's an artist. He's familiar with all media, from canvas to VR, AR, and AI. In their opening talk today, they will dig deep into the different influences and aspects of the human experience and connect the dots between technology and art in an AR presentation. Welcome, Michael and Dennis.
Thank you for the kind introduction. So, basically I'm an artist, and I2 gave me, or asked me to develop a visualization of the neurosemiotic model called System X that I2 developed over the past year, I think. And it's a highly complicated model, and I decided to develop this model in 3D and in augmented reality. And so I built this app here, System X, and together with Michael over the last weeks, he gave me a lot of input of all the data and the insight that I2 gathered to illustrate or to dive into the mind of a human being and how he perceives the world. And so this model got more and more complicated the longer we worked on this. And I think the only person who really understands this model is now Schießl. And so we decided that he will guide us through the model with my help. I'm the cameraman, basically.
Great artist, Dennis.
Thank you. So maybe you want to just start.
Sure. So, look, I'm standing here in the middle of the model, and the model kind of should show something which we can show. This is human experience. We call the middle of the model the system X. This is the kind of the point you also have. You are humans. You hear me, you see me, you feel. Yeah, I do the same. So there's a moment where we have direct, where we are totally direct, where we don't need data or something like that. We see, we feel, we hear. This is the middle. We call that the system X, the middle of the human experience. And all we do, all what God is doing, all what the world is doing, is about this experience. This is in the middle of the model. If we try to distance ourselves a little bit from this point of the experience, we call the things which are running in our mind the systems. To make the things easy, we call them systems. So on the one hand, we have a system which is about our feelings. This is the system one we show here. It's about our feelings. And this comes, for instance, from researchers like Kahneman, who developed it. It's about, all our emotions, our arousals, and things like that. Up there we have a system we call the system 2, also following Kahneman. This is about how we could think about, you also would probably think about at the moment of what I'm saying. You have rationality to express this. This we call the system 2. And we have a third important system, it's often forgotten, and we think this is again incredibly more important in the digital space. This is perception, or system 0. That's how it all starts. This is the level where the pictures come, where we are connected with a screen, where we see. This we call the system 0. So these three systems, the system 0, the system 1, and the system 2, they are the basic psychological model we have, and in the middle it's the system X, the point of the experience. What we want to show you today is how we could bring insights and new understandings of technological trends into this big model. We raise two big questions. One is the question, is a mega question, which we see here, for instance, with the word mega. This is the psychoanalytic question of what is driving, the human psyche. What is people driving? And it's a mega thing which is driving human beings. It's their desire. And on the other hand of the model, this is mega big. And on the other hand of the model, we are showing one trying of an answer towards that, which we call meta. We are using the word of Zuckerberg. That's maybe the time to come, the technological time to come, the meta time, which is affected by AI, artificial intelligence, by extended realities that would be about VR and stuff like that. The things we see right now, this AR, augmented reality, that's also an extended reality, and we try to understand how that affects us. And it's connected also with the data which are everywhere in the total connectivity. Let's have a look on the side of the desire for a moment. The French psychoanalytic Jacques Lacan would say that the basic thing why humans do this and that is their desire. And the desire is mega. It's very, very big. So the desire of human beings is mega. This is good for artists, this is good for religions, this is good for business. So the desire never ever ends. It's a little bit different from the wish. The wish is an easy thing. I could wish something, I could wish to eat something, then I eat something, and then I'm fulfilled. But the human desire is much bigger. For instance, think about making love. If you make love, or say very down to earth, if you make sex, then it's not that it's just a wish which might be fulfilled. It's much more complicated. In French, we would say le désir the autre. So the desire is also the desire of the other. When human beings do something, for instance, they also want the others to be happy. If you cook, you also want your family to be happy with the things you cook. That's why things are complicated. That's why the desire is so complicated. And what is the point of the desire? Well, the desire kind of drives us. Sadly for technology, it doesn't stop at the level of meta. Maybe we have a look on the level of meta. People don't desire meta. They don't desire VR glasses. They don't desire AI. They don't desire this and that. Lacan would say what they desire is the real. And Dennis now is going to show the real for a second. It's very hard to show the real, for instance, because the real is so easy. The real is the thing which really happens. You know, when I go home after this conference, my wife will be there or will not be there. So this is real. She might be dead, she might have another friend, but the real thing is my wife there or is it not there? Lacan also says this is the moment beyond automation. This is the moment beyond replication. That's the pure presence. That's real. Maybe Dennis tried to express it with Rodin. Maybe that's a good point. People are connected. Other scholars say the real could be also very, like a terror attack. The Catholic Church would think the real is up there. Whatever it is, the real is not in the media. That we could kind of understand the real, we have to go through a frame. And this is kind of the frame in a way of the media. Now Dennis is going through this frame. There's a frame over the things. The German big philosophical word would be scheinen. Maybe one Polish word I know would relate to that uśmiech. So there's a smile. There's a smile before the things. And this smile is used in media. All media try to kind of reflect these real things, like in marketing, you see this big advertising from eBay. It was a great print campaign. People look at it, they look at this woman. In advertising, it's also not easy. You just have 2.5 seconds in this system, zero perception world. Art tried to give answers to that, kind of bring this real into time. For instance, Giotto tried to paint things which reflect to the real around 1150. His way of painting wasn't affected by mathematics. He was more painting in a plain way. Maybe 200 years later, Tizian, he had a big understanding of mathematics. He came up with a central perspective. He was painting like that. So he brought room and movement into painting. If you make a big jump in painting history, in the year 2018, 3 young engineers from Paris created this thing. I don't dare to call it art. Christie sold it as an art piece for €500,000, and it was a thing created with AI. It wasn't like really man-made. And look at it, look how it looks. To me it doesn't speak, but this was the level of AI painting in the year 2018. if we jump now to this moment of time of the possibilities of producing pictures with generative AI, we see here the state of the art. Dennis was so nice to show me these examples from Wolfgang Ulrich, a German art critic. Maybe you want to comment on this for a second?
Yeah, it's done with DALI. It's for free, online AI picture generator where you type in text. And I found it very fascinating that Wolfgang Ulrich is a person who only thinks in words. He's an art critic. How a person who only thinks in words is now able to produce really convincing images. So this was what he typed in. And this was the picture he got. Or for instance here. So I thought this is a completely new thing how to produce images.
And tell people who are not totally agree with that. The year 2022 brought a revolution in picture making. Look, these AI pictures, they look like photographs. Or my colleague, one of the lady I much adore, she's a great designer and graphic, Ina Keck-Eyes, she gave me as a present this picture. She made also with DALI, and she called it Mary AI, maybe referring to our mother Mary, whatever. But I just want to show you the quality and the beauty. That's the level where we are at the moment with generative AI, and I think this is very, very impressive. And I have to admit, within Iceberg, for years now, we are working also on an interesting problem of AI, whether AI could predict real-world eye tracking, which we see there in the back. And in a way, we sometimes see AIs which try to predict human eye tracking. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. For instance, with a Malevich picture, it doesn't work at all because the AI thinks people will look into the middle of the picture. But we can't make a lot of sense out of that when the AI predictions work and when they don't work. But anyhow, we don't feel it's so important anymore because the generative AI is in a way much more important, and it's much more important for us kind of to walk into this human experience and how this is perceived. So I want to add now in the talk a study our colleague Tilman Peterson, a great psychologist, he has done a psychoanalytic orientated study. How do people kind of perceive this upcoming world of AI and things like that? And we try to bring these tendencies into our neurosemiotic model, and we will describe it with 4 ways of reactions. These could be either a little bit different kind of people, different reaction mode, but maybe you also have this reaction mode in yourself. The first level of the reaction we call the turmoil. This is the pure shock of the digital. The turmoil, the people are highly affected by all these peoples which come to them in the systems. You are extremely ugly pictures, extremely arousing pictures, so you are highly energized. This is the shock of technology. This is the turmoil people are in. And this you see here expressed in the turmoil.
Yeah, I try to put some music in here to enhance the turmoil. Why you didn't like that?
It's not about liking, it's about associations. We also have these interviews. Maybe Dennis, you could read us 1 or 2 of the statements.
Yeah. Dystopias. Artificial intelligence suppresses humanity and thus divides me and world. Or utopias. Artificial intelligence merges with human intelligence and forms a new unity of me and world.
And this is the turmoil. The turmoil is close also to the abyss. The abyss we see down in the model, the possibility of catastrophes. That's kind of the metaphysics of this turmoil state. The second level we identified, we call the regression. Maybe also you know that if you're getting more familiar with something, when you get customized to that, the arousal when the energy level is going down, within the regression, you are close to the system zero, close to this stream which comes from media. This is kind of the normal long media state. Could be a little bit positive, could be a little bit negative. This is regression.
Should I read some?
But this would be lovely.
So far, no one has been able to explain to me what AI is exactly and what is AI now. It is real in everyday life. You are influenced, but you don't realize it. We deal with it on a daily basis, but we don't know. I'm definitely not aware of it.
This is regression. And both of these levels, they are very much connected to the system zero. To say it in very easy words, you don't make a lot of sense out of these things. These are just a stream on the system zero level and on the system one level. And when you get more acquainted with that, you're getting in a more elaborated cognitive state. And we find two levels on this more elaborated cognitive state. First, I want to show you a level which we call the hyperstrength. Once people adopt or understand these technologies, they have a clear understanding of that. With the hyperstrength, we differentiate two levels. One we call the hyperstrength alpha. They are pro-technology. This is like the Silicon Valley. This is the state where you're fascinated by technologies. You think you can make a lot of use out of these technologies. This is the hyperstrength. And there's also the other hyperstrength, the hyperstrength omega, that you kind of fight against these technologies. You rage against the machine. And then we also have, then we're going back to something we could be called the neo-normality. The neo-normality, people are getting acquainted with the technology, they're getting into a new normal, they understand, technologies are there, things are there. To me right now is almost such an into itself, you have a critical distance, they are acquainted. So these are kind of the four levels of reactions. We wanted to show you in this big presentation how the desire affects towards the perception world, how the mega world, pronounced with the new generative AI, influences the people, and how you could have these four levels in dealing with technology. It was a pleasure for me to show you all that, and now comes the great finish, and Dennis's task is to do the great finish. Okay? Now we haven't finished. We get all that time, 3 or 4 minutes, but we have it.
Just some thoughts, maybe, as an artist looking at this creation. I think the best part was that reality was in the kitchen, and the door is now closed. And I find it a very fascinating way to do a presentation overall, like the concept of doing a 3D model of a highly complex system. And I think this is something that could be very interesting for the future. I think very avant-garde here, so to say.
Yeah, I think we could look either up to heaven, which we also have in the model, or down to the abyss, to the catastrophe, which we also have in the model. I think it's very interesting to stay in the middle, to stay on the level of human experience, and let me end with Psalm 111. Don't rely on the idols. Fabian Oculus said non viderum. They have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. They have hands, but they can't touch. So don't be an idol, rather be on the side of human experience and touch. So that was it from our side.